Good evening. It is 5 o'clock on the dot. Welcome everyone to our regular board meetings for our pre-visioning for Monday, February 2nd. Can we please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty, so we can get diving in on this agenda for this evening. Can I get a roll call?
Mrs. Alkire.
Here.
Ms. D'Angelo Steele.
Here.
Dr. Dillon.
Here.
Ms. Liskini.
Here.
Mrs. Peterson.
Here. Can I get a motion to adopt our agenda for this evening?
So moved, Liskini.
Can I get a second?
Second, Dillon.
Any discussion on the agenda? Hearing none, can I get roll call?
Ms. Liskini.
Yes.
Dr. Dillon.
Yes.
Mrs. Alkire.
Yes.
Ms. D'Angelo Steele.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes. All right, so that we can dive into our area of presentations, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Banks.
Thank you. So, like last year, we have set aside some time this evening to prepare the board and present to the board some of the big projects that our team will be working on in 2026. Again, this meeting has been rescheduled due to our winter storm, but we're excited tonight to present a variety of district leaders and to inform the board what we're working on so that that can help the board at our next meeting on the 9th, help them in determining their goals for 2026. So it's not all of the work that the district is working on, but it is a large portion and some big pieces that we think you'll find interesting. So we're going to kick it off with Dr. Bowser, and I'll just turn it over to him at this time.
Thank you. Good evening, President Peterson. I haven't gotten to say that yet. Vice President Liskini, members of the board, Mr. Banks, Mr. Garside. Thanks for having us here to share a little bit about the work that's happening in the district. I'm going to spend some time doing kind of a 30,000-foot summary of some of the big rocks, is what I'll call them. And then, of course, members of our team will be a little more specific by level. So next slide. I don't know, who's clicking? All right. Thanks, Meredith. So I'll start with this slide because for those of you that have worked in this organization, any large organization, your corporate, we like to think of things in big overarching goals and themes. And one of the things we noticed as a team earlier, or a few years ago, was when you get too many goals, people walking around going, what are we doing? And when you have too few goals, you don't have enough direction. And so we spent a lot of time, I always say, these aren't Brian's goals, these are our goals. We came up with lots of input from lots of people, and they have remained steady over several years because, to be quite honest, we find them to be still relevant, tried, and true. And everything we do falls into these two buckets. Whenever we're coming up with a new idea or we have new things come in front of us, we try to say, is this going to help increase in student achievement? Or is this going to help create an environment and a culture and a climate where the humans can grow in it? And I worked with someone a long time ago that I still consider a mentor, and he told me once, sometimes, Brian, you have to say no to good ideas. And that remains true today, too, because we can't do everything. I call it sometimes implementation fatigue. Sometimes you can take on so much water that we're spinning with new legislation at the State House or new rules and policy and changes and ideas. And so as we talk tonight and you hear some of the things that are going on, I'm going to keep bringing you back to these two overarching goals. Raising student achievement. We want every child, when they walk out of these doors, where they want to go to college, enter the workforce, enter the military, start their own business, whatever it is, they have that option. And the second thing is we want to create spaces where everyone, adults, children, everyone can grow and thrive. And that's really the mission of what we do. So next slide, please. So some of that 30,000-foot view, because those two themes or goals, whatever you want to call them, are the same for every building. We set the intention that every building shares the same. But as you probably know, being a resident here, a parent here, a board member, whatever your role, all the above, that not every school is a cookie cutter and fits with the same strategies to get to those goals. And so that's where building teams and leaders in the buildings and parents and everyone has input into what are the action steps and strategies at that site that will live for the children at those sites. So from a 30,000-foot view, if you look on the left, these are kind of the big rocks that are driving some of our increasing student achievement. And if you look at the top, we have a model curriculum process. I know the newest members of the board, we just went through this with you. I know board members have seen this in the past, but we work really closely with our teachers to make sure that we're choosing the best possible products, resources, and tools to put in kids' hands and in our staff's hands so that they have what they need to be successful. Currently, the big one underway, as I mentioned before, is mathematics K through 6. We're taking a deep dive. These are multi-year processes. Again, I've had calls before like, Brian, why'd you pick this program? Brian hadn't picked anything. A lot of people give a lot of input to make sure that we're getting the best decision, and then that will come to you in the spring to give your final stamp for authorization for Mr. Garside to purchase. So that is underway and ongoing. Another thing, in the bottom left, you see a picture of teachers sitting on the floor with students. All of our buildings in K-8 have instructional coaches to help support teachers and students in their thinking and learning. And these are teachers trying new ideas, practicing, talking with one another, improving the craft. It's what we do. I always say, and you've heard me probably say it before, what we do is really easy. Teach kids. What we do is not that simple. And we're in the business of learning and teaching. We're constant learners, and I couldn't be more proud of our teachers doing that at our high school level. We have our department leads engaging in new ways and talking about practice of instruction, and that's exciting. Which leads me to the little picture down in the bottom right. We're calling her Big Blue. And our teammate Sarah is sitting over here. She spent a couple years building this for us. It was born out of an idea of what we heard from classroom teachers, people in the building saying, we have all this data, it's autopsy data, it's old, what do we do with it? And it doesn't mean anything. And so this is brand new, like within the last several weeks. And we are in the process of rolling this out because we believe as Sarah and others have gone on tour with this and interacted with teachers, the feedback has been, oh my gosh, how do we know more about this? What do we do with this? How do we tell my colleague about this? And so we're real excited about this springboard and this platform that could launch us to the next space. So those are, as Mr. Banks said, these aren't certainly all the things we're doing, but these are some of the big rocks at 30,000 feet. If you look to the right, these are some of the things supporting creating cultures and environments where people can grow and thrive that are happening. Across the top, you see some of our care team members. We have, and I have to be careful how I count this, but we have 78 humans who support our buildings, helping remove barriers for families and children. I say careful how I count these because we have lots of adults helping remove barriers, but these are specific skill sets from social worker to communities and schools, partnerships with other agencies that are in our schools helping our teachers and our staff and our families remove barriers to access learning. And I can tell you pre-COVID, those 78 people weren't here. And so now when I'm out and about and people talk to me about them, they're like, we don't know how we do it without them. And so they're just a powerful part of helping our teachers create those learning environments. In the bottom right, you see a group of parents or guardians in our schools talking with their children. Every school has a parent partnership plan, and it looks different across the sites. But we believe parents are partners. We really tap a lot of community partnerships. I named a few, and I hate doing that because I know I'll leave somebody out, so I won't go on and on. But this district has long relied on the partnerships with agencies and tapping into the resources they can help us bring into the classroom. And down on the bottom left, it makes me giggle because I love it. This is a celebration at one of our schools as they're working on PBIS, which is Positive Behavior Intervention Support. Because you've heard me at different presentations along the way say, discipline is only one component. If it was as easy as saying, don't do that, that'd be real easy. But discipline comes from Latin and it means to teach. And every school also has a PBIS plan where we're committed to helping every little human grow. Wherever you start, we're going to get you further on down the road. And so this is a school that had a goal, they achieved it, and they're celebrating with each other about that. And just last week, you heard Mr. Winter do some of the celebrations from one of our middle schools, and we could go on, and you'll get to hear more of them as they go. So those are some of the big rocks at the district level, and I'm going to actually take the next part too, which is the elementary. So Meredith, if you want to kick the slide for me. As you might remember, Dr. Gerard retired at the break. And so Mr. Callahan is serving as our interim. He had another commitment tonight when this was rescheduled, so I'm pitch hitting a little bit for the elementaries. Might need glasses for this one. So following the same thing when you think about academics, and I'm going to work there from the bottom left. One of the things that are prevalent throughout our elementaries are professional inquiry circles. These ideas were born out of a partnership we had with university years ago. It grew and changed with our own talent and our own staff, and you can see adults there working with children and then talking with one another, sort of a play on what I had on that first slide. And that's happening throughout. There again, you see Big Blue. We're starting to roll out this big data warehouse to get data in folks' hands so they can make better instructional decisions. And again, our feedback, we can't wait to see where this goes. It's so exciting. If you go to the top, you see elementary students collaborating on a piece of writing. One of the things we've strengthened over the last couple years is the science of reading, that very systematic approach to phonics instruction that we know is key. One of the things I've heard anecdotally just as I talk to teachers is they're like, it's so good, there's not as much writing in it. And we know that writing and encoding is so important. So you see that emphasis. I know our teachers are working really hard to use what they've learned in the past to add to now what is now new. And that is a large lift. Right in the center, you see third grade students listening from a real life veteran, Mr. Manley. He's talking about what it looks like to be a veteran and live a life of service above with a service dog named George Washington. Love that. And students are writing a reflection piece about what it means to be a peacemaker and a peace breaker. This is sort of across, it goes into both camps. It's not only helping students engage in the curriculum, but also talking about that culture and climate and how we are all learners and all growers in this space. And at the top right, you can see where one school is talking about building thinking classrooms and what it looks like to have success in our mathematics classroom, so hitting some of those core content areas. These are just a smattering and a sampling of some of the things going on. So next slide, Meredith. So here when we talk about building environments where children and adults can grow and thrive, we're building on the framework that we created over a year ago about engagement and belonging, because that's really what it's about. And it's about restoring, responding, and receiving. Actually, I should say receiving, responding, and restoring. And so here what we have is we spend every hour so that that parents and schools can receive a sense of belonging, build to restore relationships, and support each student so they can respond to meet, our teachers can respond to meet their success. If you look at the center top, these are our student ambassadors who share leadership in their school. There's nothing more important than student voice in our schools and having them a part of what is happening and part of the success in the building. Down in the bottom, right, you can see students working to be really kind and respectful and polite with a Manners Matter board and celebrating the students that are exemplifying those manners and those roles throughout their school and celebrating those. Finally, you see students honored at our PTA Reflections exhibit, celebrating their success and work with our parents as partners. And I missed one that is one of my favorites on the left is the Battle of the Pups, which is part of the PBIS plan with the reminder that you're not alone when you're learning new things and tackling challenges. And these are some of our kindergartners just starting our school career. What's important to say from both a 30,000-foot view and also at the elementary level, I know the thread will go, this goes hand in hand, particularly this goal with our focus on attendance. We've said often, When we have students there, we know what to do. When we can't get them there, we have to figure out why. That's why those care teams are critically important. Why are we not coming? What's the barrier so we can help solve that, remove it, and get you in school? So I'll take a deep breath there, and I'm going to hand it to Dr. Spain, who's going to pick up at the middle grades.
Thank you very much. So to pick up the thread of several things that Dr. Bowser mentioned, we could probably put Big Blue and all of the PBIS things, the Restore framework on every slide, but we won't do that. So we'll just pull the thread a little deeper. How do we do some of these things? We use the 5-step process from Odoo, and that's a problem-solving loop. And so in the middle grades and really K-12, we use this problem-solving loop where you look at student data, and Big Blue is a great way to find some OST data in particular and do a deep dive into the standards and where we might have missed things. But that's one test, right? There's thousands of points of data. So everything from a formative assessment to a summative assessment, we've got everything in between. But when you look at that from a student work standpoint, and then you go to the research-based practices, that's where we really want to spend time in professional development with teachers and getting them all the tools they need to be their best selves in classes. So we have teams at every level of this 5-step process all the time, and they're taking that research-based practice and they're trying it in their planning, and then they're implementing it, reflecting, and rinse and repeat. It really is a problem-solving loop. But as part of that, in the middle grades in particular, in this next year, we'd like to focus on the framework for learning, which is in the upper right-hand corner there. It's been in Southwestern for several years, but admittedly, we can always do more to professionally develop and get that in front of teachers and in front of teams. And that's really made up of 4 main pieces: plan, and in the planning piece, again, you're looking at student data. So it's very tied together with everything I just mentioned. But when it's intentionally data-driven, that's the first starting point. And then you get into teaching and the execution of strategy. And sometimes we have new teachers that don't know what to try next. So the ability to plan with others, the ability to have those conversations are really critically important. And then student-centered action. Within teaching, you can have things like a 65-35 model. Who's talking more? Who's talking less? A student or a teacher? Some of those conversations can happen in the planning and then in the actual teaching. And the next part of the framework for learning is the feedback, because it really is two-way. So you have teacher to student in real time. You want that to be actionable and specific, better than just good job, right? You want to tell them how they're not where they need to be yet and what they can exactly do to get there. And then you want the student to the teacher. So if 50% of the class, for example, aren't meeting the mark, you want to be able to revise your action and try something different. And then the last part of that is reflection. So the so what moment for both the student and the teacher. What do we do next and how do we begin again? In the middle picture there, you have some real time of the instructional coaching, the side-by-side coaching for teachers, which is really a priority in the middle grades as well. And you have focus on writing, and then some STEM work with coding. All of those things are all part of the many things we're doing, but we want to specifically focus on the structures we already have in place. We don't want to create new work. We just want to best utilize the ones we have. Next slide, Meredith. And then in culture and climate, and you've heard me talk about this before, we've used the mantra of good things happen here this year in Southwestern, and we really believe that's true. We want to get out of managing behavior and engineering joy and connection. We think that's really important. People to feel a sense of belonging, engagement, and safety, and support in their buildings, and that's all adults and all students. So just picking up a couple of the pieces from Dr. Bowser there and how we're implementing in the middle grades. And now I will pass it to Dr. Shuey.
Thank you. So at the high schools, we too are also being very busy with focusing on continuous improvement in academics. We are currently trying to foster a culture of continuous improvement throughout all of our high schools, and that includes the Career Academy. We begin this with a focus on an analysis of a variety of data points, from local classroom assessments to state standardized tests and everything in between. These, the engine for instructional refinement, using this evidence of the data, is being used to pinpoint areas of need, implement targeted strategies, monitor the efficacy of these interventions to drive measurable academic gains across all schools. And specifically, this year, we've been focusing on one of the report card measures. It is often referred to as the CCWMR, but that stands for College Career Workforce and Military Readiness. It is a component, as I said, on our report cards, and it measures metrics that people from the state level deem important for students to have once they graduate high school. So I say this all the time, we don't, and I use a baseball analogy, we don't want to bunt, we want to swing through the ball. It's not good enough to graduate students. Honda has a policy and a saying that it's great that we build cars, nobody cares how many cars we build, they need to work. So we do the same concept with our students. And what we do is we're looking at the CCWMR components, looking at the areas that we can do better to improve those performance indicators. And we are working hard with IT to create other data points and reports that show where students have met, where they have not met. Where they have met, we encourage them and accelerate them through. And where they have not met, we individualize plans for each and every one of those students to create opportunities for them to achieve those metrics. We believe this is a proactive approach, and it allows us to ensure every student graduates with a clear, viable pathway and the skills necessary to succeed in their chosen post-secondary endeavors. And here's an example. One of the indicators is earning high school credits. Obviously, that's a given. We also, many of you know, we've had 1,000 students go through our College Credit Plus program where they're earning college credits while still in high school at no cost to the parent because we pick up the tab for those, the tuition and the textbooks. Well, in addition to that, it's important for students to have a skill set where they can go right into employment or both college and employment. So we try to provide them 12-point industry recognized credentials. One of the programs that we've started that has been really beneficial is a Rise Up program. Each of our high schools have done that. It is also embedded in some of our career tech related courses, and that is in the retail customer service industry. And we provide 10-week boot camps basically after school, about 3 hours per session, and students take the credentialing exam and they can earn those points. So those are examples of the things that we're doing. If you look at the pictures, again, providing rich and rigorous opportunities for all students. We take students on many, many trips to different colleges, different businesses and industries, so they have exposure. The students in the middle and the upper row there are learning a little bit about business and industry and the economy and finance along with that. We also students can't learn if teachers aren't prepared to do the teaching required, so we provide professional development for the staff as well. We think that is absolutely vital. One of the focuses, if you see that fundamental 5, this came from one of our new administrators, and we are starting to pilot that in one building. It's now moving into multiple buildings, where the fundamental 5 is basically teachers will frame the lesson. They clearly set up the lesson from beginning to end. They tap prior knowledge, and they kind of set the tone for what students are about to learn. They work in power zones. I grew up in the time of Ferris Bueller, where a teacher standing in the front, Bueller, Bueller. Teachers today don't do that. They are so powerful in that classroom. They are so dynamic. But a power zone is them actively interacting with students throughout the lessons. We also want to do frequent small group and purposeful talk, and you see some examples of that in there. We believe that every 10 minutes, students should be stopping, having conversations, reflecting on what they're learning, and providing input to one another. We also want to recognize and reinforce, and that is real-time, positive, and purposeful feedback from teachers to students so that they can continue to learn and improve as they're going. We also understand writing critically is immensely important no matter what walk of life you are going to end up in. So we're focusing a lot on that as well. Culture and climate next. So culture and climate at the high schools. We firmly believe that to have a supportive and high-achieving environment, we have to have a growth mindset. That is extending a principle of a growth mindset to both our students and to our staff. This commitment forms a core of a cohesive, integrated foundation that links robust academic practices with clear behavioral expectations. On the upper left there's a book. We're doing a book study, which is started with the administrators. Some buildings are now doing it with some of their teachers. But this is how to change what's not working. And you look at things like, if you are looking and stuck in a situation, what do you do at the high school? We will go and see the work. We can't make decisions sitting in a seat from far, far away. We have to be in the classroom with the teachers, observing what is happening and going on. We have to be outside watching the buses come and go. We have to be in the lunchroom, seeing how the processes are working, what is not working, what needs to, what can we do to support those staff members moving forward. So all of this is a building of culture and climate. We might be the 5th largest district in Ohio, but we're the 2nd most diverse district in Ohio, and that means something. And that takes a lot of work, a lot of energy, and a lot of deliberate planning. So we are really working hard to do that. One of the components that we do is called MTSS, and that is a multi-tiered system of supports. You heard a lot about the academics on one side, behaviors on the other side. Sometimes you can have a very high-achieving student that is struggling because of some behavioral issues getting in the way of the learning. Or on the other side, you can have a student that might not be doing very great in academics, but they are the best, like they bring their best every day and they're doing everything right. So we have to have interventions for every side of that issue. Students do not come one size fits all. So we have to be prepared. The same intervention for student A will not be the same intervention for student B. So we are looking at various interventions to bring our best for both sides, academic and both behavioral. One of the schools, for example, implemented a mentorship program called Link Leaders. And if you see the picture there, down there in the middle, these are high school students, and I think this is fantastic. They're high school juniors and seniors who serve as mentors, role models, and guides to incoming freshmen, facilitating a smoother transition to high school. They lead orientations, provide social and academic support, and foster positive school culture to help new students feel comfortable and connected. These things are very important. Another one of those pictures shows a bunch of high school athletes going into an elementary school doing reading circles with them. We want students at every level to see our best and hardest working students and what they can become if they continue to do the work they're doing at the elementary level. Well, that'll follow them to the intermediate level. That'll follow them to the middle level and up to the high school. So we do a great job of putting our student leaders in front of the younger folks, and we believe in building student capacity. There's another school, actually, that is providing quarterly cards for students who earn 2 out of 3 accomplishments, honor roll, attendance, and discipline. So if you earn 2 out of those 3, you can get those cards. Those cards can be used for multiple incentives, anywhere from admission to plays, musicals, athletic events. It can get them some food. They get different experiences with those cards, and it gives a bit of an incentive for students. And if you get all 3, then there's secret prizes that, I mean, that's like the Mecca. That's what you want to get. So, so we do these, and it's not just students that are being recognized. In the upper right-hand corner, staff are engaging in some ice-breaking and fun hands-on activities. We believe that in order to have happy students who are engaged in learning, you have to have happy and engaged adults. So we want to take care of the adults who then take care of the students, and all this to say that with the culture and climate work and the academic work, we are always moving forward. Even when we have successes, we know that there's more work to be done. Thank you.
Hello. I'm Nicole Tayo, Director of Special Ed, and I'm going to give you a little rundown of the department really quickly. So as you know, we serve quite a few special ed students. So our department is responsible for about 5,200 students. Not all of those students are sitting in our seats, but we, as our department, we serve those students. So if they're out of district, we attend those meetings, that type of thing. That does change daily. We have one elementary coordinator. She covers all 16 buildings. She also supervises our school psychologists. Ashley Jackson, she does our intermediate. She has 5 buildings, and she supervises our APE and our PT and speech. Nancy Giro does our middle schools. She has 5 buildings and supervises speech and our SST services, so student support teachers. Janet Yeoman, she supervises our high schools, our 5 buildings, and supervises our OTs, some of our psychologists, our SST for transition, and our home instructors. And then I supervise, of course, all of our coordinators. I am in charge of all of our 504s, our nurses, our health aides, medication monitors, basically the entire health teams. Our preschool, we have 2 preschool coordinators, and they serve 34 classrooms across the district, and it's Dawn Brewer and Brenda Kemp. We also have 4 Head Start classrooms. They are located in 10 different locations, 676 students. 364 of those are special education students. 312 of them are peers. And I tell you those numbers, and they aren't right anymore. Those numbers change so quickly that they are not right anymore. Last year, we completed 301 initial evaluations, and 93% of the evaluations we completed did qualify. So students are coming to us more and more needy, and we are able to serve all of them. We have 160 specialized learning classrooms located throughout the district, and we have 71 ESC units and 55 Southwestern City School units, and an additional 34 preschool units. So we are in charge of a lot of units, a lot of special units for special needs students that require a lot of support and a lot of needs. So special ed, we do have our own academic and cultural things that we work on. And for us, it's just a little more specific. So our academic piece, we looked at our preschool audit. That has been a big focus for us this year. We are working with the Ohio Department of Education and looking at individual IEPs, ETRs, looking at our service for our preschoolers to ensure compliance, quality of programming, just to make sure that we are doing the best for all of our kiddos. And obviously, you can see our little ones, they are learning and working together in the classroom. So that's going really, really well. Our culture and climate thing you can see in our other picture, we are working to do a deep dive into where all of our programming is located. So all of those units in across the district, where they're located, all the way from preschool to high school. So we're kind of making sure that everything for students, so they can be with their peers and with family. So if they have siblings in a building, and if they're age appropriate to be in that building, that they can attend with their siblings. So it'll be easier on families, easier on transportation, easier kind of as a whole. So we're looking to try to make that cohesive for everything. So those are our goals for the year.
Sorry about that. My name's Christine Galvin, and it's my absolute privilege to serve as the Director of Career Tech here for Southwestern City Schools. So I'm excited to share a little bit with all of you about what's happening with Career Tech because I get pretty excited about it. If you know anything about me, I could talk about this for a really long time, but I promise I won't. So even though we're sitting here in the Career Academy, a lot of people think Career Tech just happens at the Career Academy, but that is not the case. Career Tech is everywhere across the district, which is very exciting. We have exploratory courses for Career Tech in the middle schools and also in all 4 high schools. So the exciting thing is that our enrollment continues to grow. So if you look up there in the corner, you can see that we continue to increase the amount of students that are interested in Career Tech and want to participate in our programs. I don't have the 25, 26 numbers up there yet because they're not official, but I can definitely let you know that it's extremely larger than the 24, 25. So it's exciting that students are interested in taking our Career Tech classes. So we've really been thinking about how do we maximize the students' experiences and the facilities and the staff that we have. So if you didn't know, the Career Academy is getting very full. So we do have waiting lists for some of our programs now. So we're thinking about how can we put more Career Tech into our 4 high schools. We also have summer programs. So we offer summer CNA programs and broadband programs so that seniors can get credentialed. And we're also thinking about how can we continue to plan for future expansion. And when we think about that, there are a lot of things that go into a Career Tech program that we have to consider. Obviously, space is one, but you also have to think about staffing, you have to think about equipment. All of our Career Tech programs have work-based learning, which basically means students who are in like one of our electrical programs, for example, they go out their senior year and they work. And a lot of our students actually can earn up to $30,000 a year during their senior year as part of our Career Tech program. So we have to think about how do we develop those partnerships, where's the student interest? We don't want to build a program where we don't have student interest. And also, what's the job demand? Because we want to make sure that whatever programs we're putting forward will be supported in our community. So we've done a student survey to see what the interest is. We have ongoing meetings with business and industry to talk with them about what are those in-demand fields and what do you need. So some things that you'll see for next year, we're actually adding a 911 dispatch program at Franklin Heights next year for our seniors. This is exciting because we don't really have a law enforcement or emergency department program at Southwestern, so this will be a new add for us. And then we have a construction technology senior-only program at Westland. We're going to expand that to a 2-year program just so that we can allow our students to have more work-based learning opportunities. The other work that we've really been doing is strengthening and aligning our courses at the middle school and the high school. Because as you can imagine, with technology changing and with all of the things that are happening, we have to constantly go back and look at the courses we're teaching to make sure that they're still up to date and that we're preparing students for the pathways that they'll take at the Career Academy and the other places. So it's exciting work. I enjoy it, and it really is fulfilling to see students graduate from Career Tech and then go on and go into either post-secondary or the workforce. So if you go on to the next slide, when I think about engagement, I also think about engaging our community. We actually have an adult hub that happens here at the Career Academy that is open to any community member who wants to participate. So we teach free classes. It's absolutely free to anyone who wants to come here and participate. And it's another way that we can use this beautiful facility that the community has provided for our district. So if you go out right now, there are adult hub classes happening at this moment. So if you want to see them in action, you can do that. But what happens is the participants get high-quality industry credentials that they can then take and level up. A lot of our adult hub participants are already working full-time, but they're looking to improve their skills. So we have electrical, welding, broadband, HVAC, CNA, automotive maintenance, and a direct service professional that we offer. The exciting thing, too, is we have community partners that fund this for us. So Southwestern City Schools provides the facilities, but all the funding from the Adult Hub programming comes from outside sources. So the City of Grove City provides funding, Franklin County Commissioners, the Western Area Business Association, and also some industry partners all provide funding for us to run our Adult Hub. So it's very exciting, and it's a way for us to build culture and climate in our community so that all of our community members can come here and still continue to learn and still continue to use our facilities. So thank you. I promised I wouldn't talk all night, but as you can tell, I'm excited about it, and I love career tech. So thank you for the opportunity to speak today.
All right, I think I'm next. Madam President, members of the board, here to talk about it. I'll give a recap on 2025, and then I'll also talk about 2026 and beyond and some emphasis and initiatives that are going on in the district financially. A recap of 2025, it was a big year. We had a new state biennial budget passed for fiscal years 26, that's the current fiscal year we're in, and fiscal year 27. Governor DeWine had 3 vetoes that were in the original budget, and these were important vetoes for school districts. The first one was a cap on the carryover balances for school districts. They set that cap at 40% of prior year expenditures. That was, it could have been very damning for school districts if they were held to that standard and those funds were taken away. So thankfully, that did not happen to Southwestern City Schools or any other school in the state of Ohio. The second one that's still kind of looming out there, these 2 that I'm talking about could be overridden all the way up through December of 2026. So they're still out there. The next one is a county budget commission giving them the authority to take money away from past school levies if they found it unreasonable amounts that they were collecting. And that would be solely at the discretion of the county budget commissions. So thankfully, Governor DeWine vetoed that one. The last one, there was a provision that certain levy types were to be included in the 20 mil floor calculation. That one was overridden by the Ohio General Assembly in October of 2025. That does not really affect our school district because we do not have any levies that are emergency levies or anything that pertains to that 20 mil floor. And also, we are not currently at the 20 mil floor. The 20 mil floor is what is necessary. Each school district in the state of Ohio is required to levy 20 mil floors at a minimum, or 20 mils at a minimum. We are currently at 20.7, so we're getting really close to that. And how do you get to that amount? As values increase, millage rate decreases. We had a big reappraisal in this last year, and that the values went up substantially. Our property taxes did not go up substantially because technically how reappraisal works, if you're not on the 20 mil floor, if the average increase goes up 40% and your property goes up 40%, you will pay the exact same amount of taxes. If your value goes up 20%, actually your taxes go down. Those people don't usually call me, but I have a lot of examples of people's taxes that went down during reappraisal. If the average is 40 and yours goes up 60, your property taxes do go up. So it's really just a redistribution of who pays what. So that's an important note to make. Again, that provision was overridden by the Ohio General Assembly in October of 2025. So there is a lot of property tax reform still, a lot of rhetoric going on out there. We just have to keep our eyes on that. The funding levels, we had the final phase-in for the Fair School Funding Plan in fiscal year 26 and 27. One important factor in that phase-in of that is that there's a base cost, and the base cost is used to calculate what it would cost to operate a school district. That amount in 2025 was $8,163. That was based on FY22, so it was already in arrears. It was already using old numbers. In the new funding formula for fiscal years 26 and 27, that $8,000, roughly $8,200 is still being used. They have not updated that number. So that is going to cause some problems in the future. So if you go to the next slide, I'm going to talk a little bit about how that works in the second part of my conversation on newer initiatives and emphases. First off, I do want to talk about some good news. We do have some ability through the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission to potentially replace Grove City and Westland high schools. We have a 50% match with the OFCC. What that means is if we bring 50% to the table, they will bring 50% to the table, so it's kind of like a buy one, get one free, which is a pretty good deal when you're talking about high schools. They can be pretty big projects. So 50% state match is a good thing. Our first segment we had was segment one. This will be our third segment. Our first segment was in 2012, and that 50% state match was set at that time, and that 50% state match will not change. We had it recalculated before a few years back, and that amount went up to maybe like 70%. They're not going to give us 70%. It would have been awesome if we could have got them to agree to that, but they only have so much money too, so we pushed hard on them, and our amount, we got the news it'll always be 50%. So our segment one was 50%, segment two, which is our middle schools that we put together, 50%, and then this high school project will be 50%. We do have a possibility for something called a no new millage, which we did in 2012 and in 2018 when we had those projects. We have a possibility for this. These are bigger projects, so we need to really look at our budgets and make sure that we can do this. But what that means is we have some debt coming off the books. These buildings right here, these were all built. We had a levy back in 1998. That was a long, long time ago to build Central Crossing High School and their intermediates. Well, that mortgage is being paid off. So if we can assess or tax our property tax owners the same amount, no new millage, keep the same millage, and keep collecting those funds, we can issue some new debt, match up with the state's 50%, and build these new buildings. So it is something that we're looking at. It's something that I think is a real positive for our community, brings a lot of jobs in our community. You see the new buildings coming up. I think anybody who's been in the district prior to 98, when we started building the first round of buildings until today, with all the new buildings and beautiful buildings that we have, I think you could say it's a better place as far as our capital goes. So it's been a really big positive thing for us. State funding wise, get back on that. I just told you that the base costs are not increasing. Base costs are not being adjusted. They're still at fiscal 2022 levels. But there's another thing, we don't actually get that whole $8,200. There's something called a state share percentage that's in the formula. And how the state share percentage works is they look at two things. They look at the median income of the district, and they look at the assessed values. So our values, we just talked about them going up. Even though they're going up, we're not getting new tax dollars, but the values are going up. That makes us look wealthier. And also our median income, if you look at it over time, our median income in the district has gone up as well. So those two things calculate a state share percentage. In fiscal year 2025, that state share percentage was 52.66%. What that means is that $8,200, we only got 53% of that. That's what the state is saying they're going to participate in our funding. So that was about $4,300 versus the $8,200. It was less. Our projections moving forward, you can see on the screen up there, those projections keep getting lower and lower and lower. Fiscal year 26 and 27 are actually that is the biennial budget. So we know what those numbers most likely will be. You can see we go from 52.66%, we're going down to 48.85. That's what we're getting right now. Next year, 43.87. We receive a very large amount of our income from the state of Ohio through the funding formula. So this is going to have effects on future budgets. We'll really need to keep our eye on this. And also, we need to, get our voice out there with our legislators. This is a system that's not operationally feasible for us or for any school district. And you're going to see a lot of school districts talking about this very issue that I'm pointing out to you right now. It will cause issues in the future, and we'll really have to start tightening up our budgets and looking at how we're spending our funds. That's an important piece of this. Thankfully, we do have some cash balance. That's something that I've talked about for a long, long time in this district, is having an ample cash balance to weather financial storms. Well, the financial storm is here. It's occurring right now. So if we hadn't saved some of our money, the same money that they were trying to take away from us in the budget, if we hadn't saved some of that money, we could be in a really bad situation right now. So I thank past boards and also the current board for keeping their eye on that to make sure that we do have ample cash balances to weather financial storms. Any questions or comments on that? Last but not least, I want to point out, we usually do at this meeting right here, just the pre-visioning meeting, I bring up instructional fees and pay to participate fees for the next school year. We're not making any decision on these right now. I provided them to you. You'll see them at your station. What you see before you, everything is exactly the same as it was last school year, with the exception of there's 3 highlighted in yellow. And these are for our family consumer sciences programs. It's just it's a $5 increase from what it was last year. Last year was $10, and each 3 of these items we're asking to move that fee up to $15. Also, just a side note on these, if I'm a free and reduced student, these fees are waived. So these are not everybody pays these fees. The district pays the fees to the buildings on behalf of the students. So we make sure that the building is whole, they get their instructional fee, and they can move forward with all their planning that they need to do to buy these materials, to put in the classrooms to help instruct our students. So don't really need any feedback on that, but this will be at the next board meeting for approval. So if you guys want to have further discussion about it, just giving you a heads up on this, that these are the numbers, and you can talk about it at the next meeting when it's up for a vote. Thank you.
Good evening. I get the opportunity to expand a little bit on the OFC projects that we have that we're looking at. Obviously, as Mr. Garside said, segment 3 of our OFC projects would be for Grove City High School and Westland High School. Some of our oldest buildings opened in 1971, and this last week was a nice prime example of some challenges in some of these older buildings. Obviously, a lot of things have changed educationally since then on how these buildings operate and function, from a safety procedure to in and outs of the building. So those are the 2 big ones that have not been touched yet. As he said, we had segment 1, which had our elementary buildings in it, as well as Franklin Heights High School. And then in segment 2, we did the middle schools, where we replaced 4 of the middle schools, and then also did an addition at Jackson Middle School. So now we're at that stage with the state where, again, that 50% share from the state in their design manual and how they decide schools are going to be put together and what they'll fund. So we're looking at that at Westland and Grove City. We're not only just looking at Westland and Grove City at this point in time. We feel that there's a need not just there, but at our other high schools as well. So we're also looking into projects at those particular facilities as we move forward through this. So I'm going to kind of go to the next one here and talk a little bit about where we are timeline on that. Last year, we did a request for qualifications to get an architect group on board that we could start master planning. You think about how long it takes to do a project like this. We have to do everything from figuring out all the little pieces before we even get into the OFC project and start looking at our facilities, what we need to do, get some estimates and things along that line. So back in September of '24, we did that. We began this last summer having meetings with our architect group and starting our master plan for those facilities. And we've been meeting ever since, actually, kind of regular, looking at these ideas and concepts. We've also been meeting with both Grove City and Westland High School administration and athletic groups and starting some pre-conversations with them on some of their feelings and thought. It's very important to us that as we're looking at building projects, we get a true feedback from all the stakeholders at those locations. So those are all very important pieces. So you can see we have some timelines kind of laid out a little bit as to where we are and where we're going. One of the other things I just kind of wanted to say with that planning is there are restrictions with the Ohio Design Manual for the construction, and they kind of dictate what those things are and what is 50-50 funded and what is not 50-50 funded. So there are certain things that they'll come in and say, hey, this is not part of our design manual. That becomes what we call a local initiative. So that becomes on the local dollars versus that 50-50 split. So those are pieces we have to take into consideration as we're looking at these designs of these buildings and the whole property in general. Go ahead, next one. Just these next two, just some recent building projects that have happened in the central Ohio area. Gahanna had just recently opened their new high school building. That is a more recent building. Next. Worthington has done some updates to their Thomas Worthington facility. So those are some areas that we can glean some information from as well as we look at what we're doing and what we're looking at for our high school buildings. Again, we're going to probably look at these two buildings being very what we call prototypical, meaning that we try to maintain a very consistent piece. If you go to Westland and Grove City now, they're pretty much the exact same design and layout. If you go to our segment 2 middle schools, you'll notice they're pretty much the exact same layout. There's some benefits to that, and we're going to take advantage of those as much as we can. Go ahead, next one. So as we start looking at these buildings and the projects, we have to start looking at our facility that we currently own, looking at the land and what are we going to do. So that's part of our master planning that we're doing right now. Where can we put a building of this size on our property now and still be able to take access to other items on the property? Because again, the building itself is part of the UFC. Everything outside of that is not. So we are starting that planning now of where can we put these kind of facilities. Knowing that these are going to be a rather large facility, we're probably looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,900 students capacity in these buildings. You know, we're working with the state. There's a whole process of going through and looking at enrollment and looking at future enrollment at these different sites. So those are very important things as we go through that planning. So you can see here, you know, looking at where can we put something at Grove City High School. We can go ahead and flip to the next. Where can we put something at Westland High School? Those are going to become the big pieces and the big lifts right now as we get into that final of when we get ready to start building these buildings. We need to start that planning now. And that's what our team is doing right now. That we are doing. We're working, like I said, we're working with the high schools and talking with them a little bit and getting their feedback and input on those as well. So we'll have more information for you on that, but we kind of wanted to get you started in this concept of where this segment 3 is currently and where we're hoping to be in the future. Thank you.
Good evening, President Peterson, Vice President Liskini, rest of the board, Mr. Banks, Mr. Garside. It's my pleasure to discuss human resources on behalf of our extraordinary team, Lori Bailog, Matt DeCastro, who are here, Amber Hufford works with us, and just very honored to serve with them and work and serve this great community and help everybody out. A couple things that I mentioned as human resources as opposed to personnel. There's so much more going on that you're going to see that start to be tweaked here a little bit moving forward. You know, it's not just about recruiting, hiring, and retaining folks. There's so much support that you offer to your employees and people within the district workforce, whether it's FMLA, whether it's the employee assistance programs, contractual issues you might be dealing with, or just stuff that people are dealing with that we help them and work through. And really talking about those great relationships that we have and working with our people, and particularly with our associations, both SWIA and OPSI and SWA, and being able to kind of be the middle person that kind of works to solve those things as we move forward. This past school year was pretty exciting in our office with the help of the departments, specifically data and tech, treasurer's office, but also with SWIA, OPSI, and SWA. We were able to make several system process enhancements. And so what you're going to see is I'm going to go through these things. You're not going to see them on the screen. I got data on the screen. I'm just going to give you a lot of info and just kind of start talking about things, if that's okay with you. So quite a few changes took place, particularly, the idea here is to have system process in place that make being an employee in this district easier and us able to function more efficiently. So number one, electronic contracts, completion notices, salary notices, and assignments. This should be better this year. Last year's the first year we were able to do that as opposed to the old paper pencil that was being done in the past. All employees are now on ASOP, which is our platform for reporting employee attendance. Again, change is never an easy thing to do, but sometimes change is necessary and it does help us become more efficient. Updating forms for internal coverage and IEP conferences and SCView. To a lot of people, it means absolutely nothing, but those who use it, it becomes an efficient way of doing things and, again, helping our employees get what they need in the district. Enhanced screening processes with usage of HumanX and a style profile builder for both teacher and administrators. Again, it helps you with your screening process to identify quality people to work in this district to support our community and our students. We added consistency in hiring protocols for certificated and classified positions last year. This standardized the process district-wide. This was an enhancement to an already efficient process that was established before my arrival, but this just made us consistent across the board. We had onboarding consistency with required checklists, not all being used with total fidelity yet, but that will be coming as we continue to progress through this year. We enhanced our exit surveys to get more participation from staff leaving the district, trying to dig into the why behind that. We also added a stay survey this year, which is providing some very important information about the good and let's say the opportunities to improve to continue to support people who've been with us for a very long period of time who want to be here. And then we also added the Why Southwestern City Schools survey for brand new employees this year. Why'd you choose to come here? Try to dig into that and what are things we can do to also work on making that better in the future. And then number 10, really our partnerships with the Career Academy. This is something new that in terms of, as Christine mentioned, about work partnerships, folks out in the community, well, why aren't we a partner with our students here at the Career Academy? And so that's something we're looking at this year and hopefully in the future. It's definitely like just an example of diesel mechanics over at the bus garage, being able to have students who are interested in that line of work, having our employees be their mentors and help them to achieve and possibly work in the district, kind of part of your grow your own. So that's a project that's on its way. We talked about this earlier in the school year, but just to remind everybody of what our team was able to accomplish in terms of filling open positions this past school year. On the classified side, we saw 171 new hires last school year, or in this past summer before we started the school year. There were tons of position changes on the classified side as folks move around, took different positions at different levels, wherever they chose to do. On the certificated side, we filled 215 certificated postings last school year, which created the hiring of 133 new teachers. 67 of those employees were brand new to education, and 66 of them came to us with experience ranging from 1 year to 12 years of experience. And finally, we actually hired 17 administrators last year. 10 of them were new to Southwestern City Schools. 4 were promotional from within as teachers became admin, and 3 were internal moves. I share all that with you just so we are a large organization. As you've heard, we're the 5th, 6th largest district in the state. We're the 17th employer in Central Ohio. So we have a lot of people that we serve, and we have a lot of people who are very important to us to actually support our students and our families. As you saw today, and maybe you didn't because we were sitting here, but we're in the process of posting positions for this school year, and we posted 15 certificated positions today for next school year. Obviously recruiting and then hiring and retention, I'm going to cover those things, and those are based off our goals from last year, and those goals will never change. How we get people here is something we'll always be talking about. So just the highlights of things that we do. We do attend every single job and career fair offered in Ohio to get our name and our brand out. But whether that's Lori going, Matt going, Amber going, me going, whatever that works, that's how it goes. Lori, Amber, have the opportunity to speak at universities and colleges, specifically to education classes. We feel this is a better approach than just a job fair, so it becomes more intimate. You really get a chance to answer an awful lot of questions about our district, our community, our location. Yes. Our location, where we're located, because people still don't know that Southwestern City Schools is still on the southwest side of Columbus. Got to get a map out, the whole thing, it's just fun. So, but we do all that, and actually that helps you with your relationships with the colleges and universities and builds somebody they know they can reach out to. Hey, we got this person licensed in this. So that's the idea of it, all right? Working with communications, we were very active on every social media platform, thanks to Evan and his team, with targeted advertisements for people to come work in Southwestern City Schools. We've created our own local job fair, specifically focused on transportation, as we're all aware. We did one on June 24th, we did one on October 17th, we did one on December 17th, and then we also had a cook-specific job fair on July 30th in the district, just locally, but also Matt goes to Superior Career Fair every year, and we're all over the place hitting all of those. We interview and screen all of our student teachers. Lori does a great job with that. Many of them are hired to become substitute teachers for the district, and then obviously a lot of them end up becoming teachers for us as well. We post early. We did post anticipated jobs back in October, and we offer early. The downside of this, and just to be very clear, the downside of this is there are limited applicants. We actually have pretty good data showing over years of when you have those anticipated openings, we're pretty much the same on the number of people who actually apply for anticipated openings over the years, which is somewhere in the 20s for all the positions that we post. It's crazy. But if you offer people early and they accept the job, everybody should know this, they still have the right to resign from us by July the 10th to go to another district, and that does happen, and we saw that happen quite a bit last year with folks. We've updated our website with the video of our new teachers and a why. And we love this because it shows you, I think you said it, Eric, or Dr. Shuey, we're the second most diverse district in the state, but you look at our employees, it references that as well. And a lot of our employees who really love to come back here are our students, people who've grown up in our community and who want to be here and give back to where they were from. Love it, shares their stories, and we create a Google form, which again, I'll tell you is not earth-shattering, but it allows people who struggle with the application process on the website to actually have folks from our office reach out to them and help them get through that process. We've created a relationship with the Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities. That was a big deal. We started that last year, but really we had a meeting before winter break to go over all this year with them. And they're going to assist us with a total process, from screenings to helping us identify people who are qualified for positions we have and work us through all those items. We created relationships with the Ohio Military Veterans Program. Last year, and this program still exists, we have now, that initiative, we have 3 employees who've qualified for that so far. And what that is, that's basically a signing bonus after you serve 1 year within the district. District pays for that. You have to have been hired after July 1st of 2023, but we definitely do that. And we started the Grow Your Own initiative last year in conjunction with the Ohio Department of Education, and we also started our own Grow Your Own. Dr. Lesher spearheaded this with our Inspire U that we did with Western Governors University. That still continues. I will tell you that the ODU's Grow Your Own Scholarship Program no longer exists. That was eliminated in this past budget. However, we were fortunate to get 3 of our folks who went through our process that we established last year did get that Grow Your Own scholarship, and we are excited about that. And then, as I said, creating a clear and consistent process district-wide in terms of screening for hiring, our updated screener, and updated consistency documentation for all those items. Retention is really all about data analysis, right? Why do people leave? And there's a lot of, I don't want to say necessarily misinformation, but blown out proportion information in regards to why people leave Southwestern City Schools. So you look at your turnover data, yeah, you have turnover data, so about a third of your employees, all classifications, could possibly leave every year, and we do know we've seen that. All right, I just went over the numbers. We hired 17 administrators, 171 classified folks, 133 new teachers. So there is things that go on, but what are the reasons why people leave? And we saw this through the exit survey information. 2 main things: retirement. We know that on the certificated side, they dropped the age down to 32 years of experience, so people can retire. So you saw an influx there. And then you also know, I can't go through all the situations, but the number of family situations that arise that show up on that exit survey is just mind-blowing as to why people move on and get out of Southwestern and move to different parts of the state wherever they do. Now let's be clear. People do leave Southwestern City Schools as administrators, as teachers, as members of the classified side to go to other districts for other opportunities. Yeah, that happens. Okay, but in terms of using it as a number and blowing numbers our way, that's not the case. And you asked me to dig into that a year ago. We've dug into it, and we'll continue to dig into it. But it's retirement and family situations that pop up. The exit interview data is better this year because we have more participation from our folks, but we still need to get more information. We still need more people to participate in that, so it's more accurate. Onboarding-wise, which is a big deal, because the better you can onboard your folks, the better your retention is going to be. So we have a certificated strategic onboarding plan provided, a checklist for consistency, and that is being implemented this year. We enhanced our new teacher orientation with the curriculum team. Last year, we had 2 days of intense onboarding, followed by 3 days of the academy for PD specific to their job, which we thought was a huge twist and adjust of what we did in the past. We've improved classified onboarding as well in regards to that with usage of a checklist. We also have scheduled check-ins during the probationary period to make sure that a new employee is on task, on board with what we're asking them to do. And if they're not, provide them with that feedback so they can obviously improve so that they stick with us. We also have done a thing with a 3-2-1 Insight, which provides additional training as needed for our members. And then we have a localized checklist to be covered with the new employee and their supervisor, and I've already referenced that several times. I think the biggest thing, obviously, within human resources is the relationships you have with people. And it's all about people. And it's obviously very overlooked. I value greatly our relationship with SWIA. I value greatly our relationship with leadership of OPSI and SWAL, because we're able to identify problems before they happen and work on a way together to get things done and continue to improve what we offer here for our employees, for our students, and our communities. I believe we've worked very well with these groups, and I look forward to that getting better as we continue forward the rest of the school year. There are obviously many things going on in HR besides what was mentioned above. We have a great team that is dedicated to hiring the right people, supporting our people, improving our process to stay competitive in this crazy job market that we have. We continue to adapt and look for ways to improve and attract folks. I will tell you, Southwestern is a great place to work. It's a great place to live. It's a place where you can make a difference in your student and their family's life, and we look forward to bringing more and more people into this district to help on that mission. With that, turn over to Mr. Moore. Oh, actually, Mr.
Good evening. Here to talk communications. I want to apologize to everybody in the room for the frequency of messages from my office in recent days. I've never seen a need for so many inclement weather notifications. So I hope we found you on your preferred platform in the last 5 to 6 days as we monitored really the first sizable weather event in our time. So 2025 recap. So obviously we did a comprehensive district rebrand from the communications office, really our first one in 70 years. Trying to get a little bit more modern with the times. You board members that were here with us previously and those maybe who've been in attendance in the audience before have heard me speak before in this room and at the DSC as well too, just on all what went into that with focus groups and stakeholder feedback and finding ways to just refresh our brand assets a little bit. That kind of going hand in hand, right, is you can come up with whatever logo design, but what are the stories you're telling? Last year, a substantial increase. I'm just so proud of my team, Meredith and Katie and Karen Scott and Dan Springer, and Brenda is the point of the spear if you call the 3,000 number up front. Just so thankful for what they've done to really kind of elevate experiences with our community and share what's going on across our many moving fronts that resulted in 29% increase in our net following and subscribership. And easily, I was trying to do the calculations again last night, close to 4 million increase in total views across all district platforms. So that was about 13 million there too. So last year in the fall, we also implemented a brand new internal communications measure, right? So there's plenty of staff members that aren't connected, to our social media platforms or choose, not to engage, through, Facebook or Instagram or what have you. So we wanted to bring some of that content and also kind of safeguard some things. So we'll soft launch a really cool story, a really cool video on the lead, we call it, is our new internal weekly measure before we'll do it to social. So we want them to see it and kind of get the buzz going in terms of celebrations before we launch it out to the public. So this week we're going to kind of peel back the curtain a little bit to kind of show the making of a snow day and what goes all into the preparation with the lots and the salts and getting everything prepared, all the walks with Mark's team. So we're really excited to share that with the public on Wednesday. So kind of blending into some of those 2025 and 2026 initiatives, I'm kind of referring to the second phase as kind of phase 2 of our rebrand, so addressing some hard signage things that still exist in buildings, right? So through our print shop, we're able to, print at cost as opposed to going somewhere else and paying, an increment amount of money to slowly start over time, start, working on phasing out the old school bell logo on our signs out front of our buildings. But there's a lot of other hard fixture assets, and we want to do this with cost effectiveness, right? So there's opportunities where, hey, we might have just installed this older logo 2 years ago, but it's not through the life cycle, right? It's not starting to crack. Some of the paint is not starting to give or anything like that. So that might be something that we let live a little bit longer just to be good stewards of what we purchased 2 or 3 years in the rear before we started to do this piece. Brand new, I just launched this back in September and October, so we are in the midst of awards season in my office. So we do a big awards gala every April right across the street at Central Crossing. So it's a partnership with the PTA to highlight what used to be their Outstanding Educator Award. They call it a TNPTA Award, and then we also have their supportive, award set as well too for different folks around direct instruction that help to support. But we recognize, too, beyond our school bell, there were some gaps, I think, in just finding ways to uplift some different classifications. And again, as you'll see in the video on Wednesday and hear the narrative on what goes on to prep for a snow day in this district, those are the things that I want to share with the community. So back in October, had been kind of dreaming up this Classroom Connect Award specifically for classrooms for classified staff that we'll be unveiling in April. So we'll have our first batch of honorees in April. But again, we want to be supportive. We encourage anybody in the room to submit some school bell awards to help us recognize and honor our folks across the board. But we wanted to make sure that as much weight that goes into the T and PTA piece for our certificated staff, that we were introducing something brand new to honor our classified staff as well too. So that'll be introduced in April, and we're excited to honor those honorees. Again, it's award season. We've got that on our website. I highly encourage anybody here to help share a story, whether or not it qualifies or not for award. We mail those out. Karen Scott in my office and I just will send those to every department, every building, to make sure that if somebody took the time to write something nice about them and share a positive experience, something to help uplift them, it's important to them in the dog days of the school year that we share that with them. So we make sure that every submission gets to its intended target. Additionally, we are working really hard on kind of some early steps on overhauling our print shop automation process. So you've heard a lot of different pieces across the board with our curriculum folks, with Mr. Jordan and personnel as well too. We do a lot of literature that helps support, instructional. You've got some of the visual elements from the curriculum providers. You have obviously the HR pieces when you go out and you're on the recruiting and campaign trail at colleges or career fairs. But we're still hard copy paper on how those things are submitted. And there's still going to be a piece of that, but a lot of districts have moved to kind of an online software-based piece where folks can kind of go through, and then there's approval workflows as well too. So when we're working on the graphics design piece at the end, and probably this is getting in the weeds of stuff, we talk, is something submitted to us in vector format versus, hey, somebody found a clip art file and we're trying to stretch it and now it's blurry and you can't see it. So we can kind of head those things off a little bit faster to save some of the email trails for staff and for us when we get through design and through printing of that. So that's a huge lift for us that we just started last month. Additionally as well too, we've been hitting the ground running, and we still are trying to work on our next 2 pieces for our what we call our safety video series. So again, we've talked a lot in previous board meetings and sessions and planning sessions about, again, what are we doing to train staff and to train kids? We know that time is a tremendous resource, and it's so finite. We only have so much of it. But we've been on a bus filming evacuation drills, so we have multiple touch points for a video kids can watch before they go practice that. Same thing for tornado drill. What are we doing? How are we going? What are the directions you should be listening for from staff? And then, from an evacuation drill, from a fire drill as well too. Rapid dismissal is planned here as well. So we're going to continue to try to add to that folder to have an in-house resource for, again, kids to watch it, particularly our littles, on a developmentally appropriate basis, right? That they can physically see that, so it's a little less chaotic when the staff member walks them through the different scenarios, and they feel comfortable. And as we know, practice makes perfect. We are also currently in a couple different high school efforts when it comes to some of our brand pieces here in what I call Phase 2. So it's just been so great for me to see. We've really kind of championed and launched high school level Instagram accounts across the 4 high schools and the Career Tech Center here as well too. And you get a little bit of a flavor beyond just what the district is elevating to kind of see uplifted each individual community. So it's just been great to kind of see those snapshots throughout the week of the different events going on, the classroom initiatives going on as well too. But as a part of that, we want to try to uplift some of the interface with some of the branding piece, but just functionality with some really outdated websites we have. So just this past January, I would say January 5th or 6th, I think we just moved Central Crossing High School and Westland High School's website onto the new platform that our district website's on. So anytime you pick up a rock that sat there for way too long, right, there's going to be some necessary navigation pieces for folks to learn in terms of workflows and, okay, now I go to this drop down versus here. But the proudest thing I can find in all of this is when you click the logo, it does take you home. It seems so. In 2026, we should be there. So the plan is to continue that work with Grove Cities, Franklin Heights, and then the Career Academy as well too, in terms of elevate that, and then we'll start working our way down. And then finally, we've poured a lot into athletics communication. So some of that looks like some safety pieces. We lived that in real time during our marching band showcase. So we had a binder we literally redid 2 weeks prior to that when we had some inclement weather roll in with thunderstorms, and anybody that was there knows, like, it was, hey, is this going to stay far enough north of us? But intermittent announcements, so whoever that play caller is, whoever's doing the play-by-play from the press box, they're prepared for emergency scenarios. But then also on the athletic side of things, we wanted to make sure with some of these new websites that calendars for events were more timely, especially in the season where you're working on reschedules and, hey, we're planning to have an event at Central Crossing, but maybe Watkins Memorial canceled on us. So when families are looking for that information, we want to make sure that it's timely, it's accurate, and then again, the name of the game is less clicks to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop is always my goal. So just that's kind of a 10,000-foot view on some of our communications initiatives. Again, just trying to automate some of those processes and find ways to weave in some of our branding. And I will turn it over to Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Evan. Looks like I'm last up here, so, and I talk fast usually, so. Thank you for letting me talk here tonight. So a couple of things I'm going to talk about is some technology items and then some data items as well. So as you see on the board here, we've replaced quite a few end-of-life devices. 1,145 wireless access points. That's a whole lot of wireless access points to connect the Chromebooks and laptops and other devices throughout the buildings. We replaced every grade band except for the middle schools that didn't need it. We replaced switches at DSC, transportation, and a handful of elementary schools that were end of life. And then we replaced a whole bunch of Windows 10 machines that went end of life as well. Now, one of the neat things that I try to do whenever we can is there's a program called E-Rate, and if you're not familiar with that, basically it's a federal program that allows discounts for schools based on their free and reduced lunch count. So we're at about an 80% discount, which is fantastic for us. So I try to buy everything I can, getting at 20%. So. A couple of the other things that we did over here this last year, set up the new Welcome Center, Buckeye Ranch. Buckeye Ranch is really neat. Welcome Center is really neat as well. As I'm sure you've been involved or heard of Senate Bill 29 and some of the privacy stuff that rolled out when they passed that. All of our applications now need to be vetted, and some additional tools we had to put in place to kind of keep track of all of those things. We upgraded our phone system servers and communication and the fantastic work that they do. All those neat videos that they make take a ton of storage, so we had to get them some additional storage so they could continue to make those fantastic videos. A couple cybersecurity products we rolled out. We're always looking at ways to help increase the district security. As a K-12 district, we're constantly being attacked by bad guys and bad actors and things, and so we're always looking at ways to try to help keep the district safe and help keep our people safe as well. Our data team did quite a bit this year as well. They helped with the new logo updates. There's a lot of those forms inside Infinite Campus and Crystal Reports and those things that needed to be updated with the new logo updates. We rolled out the parent-student portal access for absence requests. I think it's been a pretty big hit. We're very excited about that. We also put together created a customer experience playbook. So if you haven't seen that, that's really neat. That's something that you can just go through and get some guidelines on what you should do from any aspect when you pick up the phone or interactions with folks as well. A couple of other things that we helped with, some folks had already talked about, transition some electronic signatures for personnel, automated background check reminders. Those are some things that has hopefully saved them a bunch of time. And then we rolled out Infinite Campus Transportation 2.0, and then the frontline absent management for transportation as well. A couple things that we're looking at for the future, replacing some additional elementary end-of-life switches. Obviously, Chromebooks we do every year. We still have some Windows PCs that are going end-of-life, and then a server farm that we're going to look at replacing as well. A server farm is basically just a whole bunch of servers that are stacked together, and kind of in a cluster, and basically they call it a farm because the servers actually kind of float back and forth between them. They should call it a boat, I guess, but they just pick where they need to go. They just call it a server farm. So Tableau dashboards. Inside of Infinite Campus, we have a product called Tableau, which is fantastic. It allows us to visualize a lot of the data that curriculum would like to see. So from bar graphs and drilling down, and you click on it and getting better and better. So we regularly meet with the curriculum, and we're working with personnel as well to create some of those Tableau dashboards, which are great. They're very, very helpful. Some of the letters, reports, scripts, new thresholds for coming up this new school year based on some of the new law requirements that have been put in place. School Links is really neat. That's something that we're excited about with the College Career Readiness Platform and the implementation of that. And we're also looking at Infinite Campus has a check-in, check-out system. We're currently piloting it or getting ready to pilot it in one building. And we're currently use a product called eHall Pass, and we're hoping that this Infinite Campus system will be equivalent to that, and we'll be able to replace that eHall Pass with this Infinite Campus system. And of course, we're looking at always transitioning any kind of letters or anything we can. So we're looking at possibly back to school letters being digital this year. And there's some proof of residency letters and custom forms in Infinite Campus. And then also the residency disputes. I know a lot of these has to do with the House Bill 96 as well. So, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you to all of our presenters. I'd just like to share my notes because this was a lot of information and there's a lot of themes that you could grab from this. But what I heard was a lot of attention to targeted support, very intentional to how we support our staff and how we support our students. It is not a one-size-fit-all approach to staff support or student support. We take into account their interest level, their needs, and their interests with the Career Academy. I also heard another theme about being strategic, whether it be with our finances, with our facilities. So with our finances, we were able to steer away from some really dangerous situations. With our facilities, we may be able to take advantage of some great opportunities. And then also with our purchasing, being strategic there, our hiring, what strategies are we implementing in a competitive job environment at this point, and also with our communication. And then the third that I have is just how we're incorporating technology into all of those things. So we're trying to get better in the way we present data to teachers so that it can guide their instruction. We're using technology and how we deal with employment processes, getting rid of some of the paper. Evan mentioned the website, updating that, using the current technology and safety. So there are a lot of themes. Those are just three that I picked out in listening to those things. The goal of today was to give our board the opportunity to hear what some of us are working on in 2026, with the hopes that when we come back together at the next meeting, the board will be able to have conversation and help set some guiding parameters for our group. So before we go any farther with that, I'd like to ask our Board of Education members, is there anything that you didn't hear about tonight that we can prepare for February 9th to bring you more information on? Was there an aspect of our organization that wasn't here, wasn't at the table? Anything, a priority that you have that you'd like to hear more about? That will help us tremendously as we prepare for the 9th.
There's not any, is that on? Sorry. Sorry. I don't have anything specific that wasn't mentioned tonight. I just wanted to say thank you to everybody that's here. Thank you, for all your hard work and all that you do in this district. It is greatly appreciated and does not go unnoticed. I'm thrilled to hear of all the things that were accomplished this last year after our goal setting and visioning from last year. Amazing work, and I'm excited to see where we go in 2026. I will have questions that I will email to everybody, so I don't have anything specific tonight, but I will have follow-ups, so thank you very much.
I have a few, one thing that I know I'm sure we'll get into the nitty-gritty with is transportation. And regarding technology, the upcoming Title II accessibility issues and where our district is on that, as well as the use of open source or otherwise, pardon me, assisted technology, and if any initiatives district-wide have happened, and if not, that could lead to a goal.
Thank you.
One thing that I would like to hear from, and I know I probably know more than some of the other members on the board about it, but that's why I think that it needs to be touched on, is maybe the ESL piece, given that we are such a diverse district. The fact that we're second in EL population, but first by population percentage, and not everyone realizes what goes into ESL, the bilingual aids, the translations, things like that. So I would like that to be presented if possible.
Great suggestion. Thank you.
I want to say thank you also. It's really cool to see a first kind of completion of setting goals last year, and was one of our first like really amazing board visiting sessions. So seeing where we are a year later, thank you. It's amazing. It's really cool to see. Ms. Martindale, I'm sure it's pretty cool to see, isn't it? So it's, you know, it's really cool that we started with something, we had these ideas, we had these thoughts, you know, we heard from the community, we wanted to have goals, and you guys are delivering, and I think that's amazing. So I know whatever goals we have and we set next week, you guys are going to nail it. So it's going to be fun to see what comes next. Thank you.
I'm always curious what buildings we pilot in. That might be that social work brain of mine. Okay, Shuey, which building, put you on the spot, what building are we piloting the 5 fundamental, do you know what I'm saying?
So it started with the new principal at Grove City High School. It started with the new principal at Grove City High School, and currently being looked at with Central Crossing. We are looking to do something with the rest of the high schools on this moving into next year, and have some district-wide administrator and teacher PD ideas that we have not codified quite yet.
Thank you. And then,
One of my questions too, so this is good.
I know, I'm like, I always like to know where we pilot stuff, which building. The E-Hall Pass,
Yeah,
which
that was my
building?
next one. That was my next one.
Which pilot building? Okay. I thank you all. Go ahead, Denise.
No, that's okay.
You're fine.
I can email. The whole thing was one of the things where taking away the cell phone, like not having the cell phones anymore, and the whole e-hall pass thing on the phones was kind of like, how are we going to transition that? So, but that was one of the things neat to see, again, going forward and making progress in that area, so.
I would hope amongst, and this is probably something you would have done anyway, but amongst the board members, if we're emailing anyone, to include all of us, because it's more than likely it's a question that either we have or we haven't thought of, especially those of you that are more experienced at this. So definitely include us noobs on the emails when you're asking those questions, because I'm very curious too.
We can that's a sunshine law violation to have us all in the same email, but I think there's a way where if you email somebody, they can, or Randy can reply and back and send it to you, but we can't all be on the same email.
subject to open records only. I don't think it's necessarily you.
We will. That's what I was just about to say, is we will ensure that all members are aware of what questions is being asked. That's very valid, because what something one may be thinking, the other may be thinking, and we don't want to have the directors or someone having to re-repeat it 5 times, and there is a process for ensuring that we can make sure each of us have that information.
Definitely.
Okay?
So what I think
Yeah.
I heard was there are a few presentations, not presentations, that's probably a stretch, but there's some information that we'd like to share with the board at the next meeting in response to your input. So that probably will need to fit at the beginning of our time together next, and then some conversation from the board about
Yes.
goals. So I'll leave it to you to set the
That
schedule
works.
for what you want that day to, what time you want that meeting to start.
Randy, tell me how many items areas was just
I have
asked
4.
for. You got 4?
Yep.
Okay. Tell me, do you all have an idea for that area? If you roughly had to give an estimation.
30 to 40 minutes tops.
It really just depends on like with Title II, how far you want to go with that. What we try really hard to do is just like Rob's presentation.
Perfect.
So rather than, waste time talking about just the law itself,
Right.
we contextualize that within the work. So the things that I have listed are transportation, that could take a little longer. Title II, and then access in terms of the digital piece, but then there's a larger piece that ties into the assistive technology, and then our EL department. Now, Ed likes to talk about it, he's passionate, so is Andrea. But we could definitely give you, enough context. So I would say within 45 minutes, you could probably hit those things to leave plenty of time for discussion. And then to the earlier point about if there's an inquiry, if you're curious about something, if you send the curiosity, we can then reply blind carbon to make sure that everybody's benefiting from the information, language, and that being sent. Thank you.
So with that, let's determine the time for our meeting on 2/9 for the goal meeting. Originally, we had the agenda at 2:30.
Correct.
Testing my brain. 2:30. And we also have a regular scheduled board meeting that night. So the question is how much time does the board feel we need to do our goal meeting? Get a moment to breathe and take a break to transition for the regular board meeting to follow, okay? I am open for suggestions.
Approximately how long did the goal meeting take last year?
We really went, yeah,
Approximately?
it was, format was different.
Yeah.
We did deep dive. That's what got us to a circle fold here. So,
Well, in terms
Yes,
of
we used-
conversations.
Yeah, I would say, I'm thinking you may need an hour to an hour and a half for the board.
yeah,
So maybe a half hour to, yeah. So I think if you did 2 hours
That's what I was
total.
thinking.
So if you went 5:30 or
Backward.
3:30 to
3:30.
5:30, it still gives you a significant break. If you want to back it up closer, you could start at 4 o'clock.
right.
I think I would propose a 3:30, because then if we need to go over, it would just cut into a brain
The
rest.
break for first.
Before the board meeting.
I was thinking an hour off should be fine. I don't think you need the full 4
Okay.
before a meeting, but I want to ensure everybody feels good with that. So starting at 3:30
3:30 instead of 2:30.
instead of 2:30. So that then you don't have that, a larger break time, but we could comfortably potentially have an hour break before the regular meeting versus a 2-hour break.
Oh, yeah, we don't need to do ours.
No.
No, I think that's fine. Yeah.
So you'll be okay with doing a 3:30 start time? Okay, think we said it. Monday, 2/9 goal meeting will be 3:30 here at the Career Academy.
I will send out a new notice that that time is changed.
Did we cover everything, or any questions pop in the head before we move on?
Are we able to take a personal care break
Sure.
without having to
I was about to say,
adjourn?
I don't think it should be a problem, but let me not be making a rule. You know, I'll interject, yep, break.
Take a 5-10 minute recess. Make a motion. Yeah.
Okay, I need a motion to recess.
Motion to recess, Dylan?
Can I get a second?
A second, Alkire.
Roll call.
Dr. Dillon,
Yes.
Ms. Alkire,
Yes.
Ms. D'Angelo Steele,
Yes.
Ms. Liskini,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson.
Yes. We're going to prepare to resume. Can I get a roll call so that we can return back into session?
Mrs. Alkire,
Here.
Ms. D'Angelo Steele,
Here.
Dr. Dillon,
Here.
Ms. Liskini,
Here.
Ms. Peterson.
Here. Okay, before we move to the next item for action, I just want to share something with the audience. Before we introduce the next item for action, we want to provide some important context. While this matter was not part of last Thursday's meeting agenda or reflected in the minutes, prior to the start of that meeting, representatives from OPSI Local 211, the union that represents a majority of the school district's classified employees, issued a notice of its intent to strike and picket, which would strike with such strike notice as being effective at 12:01 a.m. on Monday, February 9th. Some in the room may be aware of the development, others may not. But it is important to acknowledge it as we frame tonight's action item. That is why this is coming forward. As a Board of Education, we want to be clear that our classified staff are essential to our daily success in the district. Their work supports our students, our families, and the smooth operation of our schools. And we respect and value the role they play in our community. At the same time, the issuance of a strike notice requires the board and district leadership to act responsibly and proactively. While we remain hopeful and committed to reaching a mutually beneficial agreement before the effective date set forth in the OPSI notice, we also have an obligation to prepare for what serving students may look like should an agreement not be reached. These preparations are not a signal of disengagement from negotiations, but rather a reflection of the board's desire to continue to operate and provide services and supports to our students and their families. With that context, the action item before us this evening would grant the superintendent, treasurer, and legal counsel the authority to plan for operational contingencies. This flexibility ensures that we are prepared for multiple outcomes while continuing to pursue an agreement with OPSI. With that moving forward, the next item for action is for providing authorization to the superintendent and treasurer. I turn this area over to Vice President Julie Liskini.
Thank you, President Peterson. Tonight, we have one resolution to provide authorization to the superintendent, treasurer, and legal counsel. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the resolution to provide authorization to the superintendent, treasurer, and legal counsel as presented. After reviewing this item, I move it for approval.
Can I get a second?
After the second, we'll have discussion.
Correct.
I'll second.
Discussion.
Okay.
Go ahead. If I'm speaking completely honestly and openly, I don't know if you can tell this or not, but I've been under the weather the past couple days. Today after work is the first chance I've had to look at this, and I don't know that I've had enough time to read it over and fully understand what it says, to be able to say yes or no and put my name to this. So I'm just...
Additional discussion.
Would this be, these are next steps, right? I know it's been a long time since South Orchard City Schools has been served with a strike notice. And from my understanding, again, like you said, in order to ensure that our district is, we're here to educate students, and that is the goal. And we also want to make sure that all staff and employees are appreciated, which we do appreciate them, and want to make sure that they are being heard, and we do all, this is the process. So with this being the process of after you're being served with strike information that they want to strike, and they have 10 days from that time, which would be, like you said, on February 9th. If that happens, we have to have, people need to prepare for that before it comes. So by authorizing this, it gives everybody, that gives the district ready to prepare to do that. Correct? But there's always that chance where it doesn't come to a strike, that they can go back to the table and have the conversation and say.
Right.
Correct. That is the goal.
Right.
That is the goal. But I'm going to be very honest. If they strike, we have to have authorization in place for 3 individuals, superintendent, treasurer, and legal counsel, to act on our behalf to authorize a plan.
I just want to be certain and on the record that this resolution does not change the board's ability or role in any negotiations and going forward.
Correct. It does not change any ability for negotiations to continue to move forward. Does not change any of that. Does not.
Well, specifically the board's role.
Correct.
We're not giving up any
You are
rights.
not giving up any rights to that. No, that is not what this purpose is. No. Good, fair question.
What if we don't? What if we don't do this? Then what? Then February 9th comes about and there's no prep, nothing happens, and it could be even a worse situation than we are right now?
It could be. I'm giving honest answers. It could be. If we do not have a plan in place for February 9th and the outcome of February 9th.
And this, consulted with legal on this. Legal has been a part of this before. I know the legal counsel that would be used, that's stated in here, Bricker and Graydon, they've done this before. This is what they're recommending. This isn't something that we just decided on or came up with.
We did not just decide on this on a whim. Bricker and Graydon is involved, and our attorney, yes. Good questions. Good questions. Is there more? Hearing none, I'm going to say we're going to take this roll call, and what the outcome is where we will go. Roll call.
Ms. Liskini.
Yes.
Ms. D'Angelo Steele.
Yes.
Ms. Alkire.
Abstain.
Dr. Dillon.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes. It is now recommended that the Board of Education adjourn to executive session according to policy 0166 to prepare for conduct or review, negotiating, or bargaining sessions with public employees and security arrangements and emergency response protocols for the school system. Can I get a motion?
So moved, Liskini.
Can I get a second?
Second, D'Angelo Steele.
I assume there's no discussion, but discussion, any questions for the purpose of us going into executive session? Roll call.
Ms. Liskini.
Yes.
Ms. D'Angelo Steele.
Yes.
Mrs. Alkire.
Yes.
Dr. Dillon.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.